So I'm doing a kitchen remodel, and I have an opportunity to show you how to add a disposal into a kitchen that wasn't wired for one. So in this remodel, it worked out well because we're pulling off all this paneling on this island. And if you don't do that, you can still do this without taking apart the wall and just put the switch under your sink cabinet. What we have here is a regular outlet. The power's off to it, and this was just used for plugging in the dishwasher, which sat over here. So here's our hot and cold line for the sink and the drain. So the sink will sit right here, and this will be just in the back of it. It's one of these remodel boxes that has the tabs, so it can just sit wherever we want. It doesn't have to be nailed to a piece of wood necessarily. But the reason I want to show this is right now this has a number 14 wire running directly from this outlet back to the main panel. And so on a separate circuit is this number 12 wire, which is powering all the outlets that are going to be on this island. And so what I want to do is actually put a 2-gang box up here to have this outlet be on one side, and then the switch to power the disposal on the other side. It's a little bit tricky because I'm going to have 2 different circuits in the same box. And so what I'm going to do is run just a wire from this box over through here and up to where these other ones are, and I'll label it so I make sure to know. And that'll just be a switch leg for switching on and off this outlet. But since I'm still going to have a dishwasher as well, what I'm going to do is break the tab. You can see there's this little tab right in here. There's that tab right between the 2 screws is that copper tab. And again, the power is off here. You never want to touch these screws when the power is on. But there's that tab in there. So with the power off, we'll break that tab, and then I'll wire a switch to the top outlet. So I'll show you how that works, but we're going to switch the top one, and the bottom one will be on constantly. So it'll be constant power on the bottom and a switch on the top for the disposal. Then the disposal will just plug right into here, and the dishwasher plug into the bottom one. So in order to visualize and see what's happening here, this is the new wire that I just pulled in. It's going down to this disposal. So this is only going to be a switch leg. It's only going to be switching the power from this circuit. It's never going to interact with anything on this circuit. And so this will be just a 2-gang box. It'll be nailed here. All these wires are going to be here. This switch will be on one side. It'll just have a black and a white connected to the switch, and then the ground also on the switch, and that's a completely independent circuit from this one, which will be just an outlet. And so these will be, the black will be on the copper side of the outlet, the whites will be on the silver side of the outlet, and then the ground will go on that outlet as well. And so this will be just an outlet, and then what this does is it's power coming in, and it'll power up that outlet, and that's power going out to power up this outlet that's on the other side of the sink as well. And I think it comes from maybe this GFI outlet here. So when this trips, it actually will have GFI protection for these. So in order to have this outlet control the disposal and also power the dishwasher, we need to break this tab right here. So between these 2 screws is a tab. And again, the power is off on this, which is why I can touch it. You'll want to make sure the power is off when you do this. But that little tab right in there, just grab a hold of it, twist it back and forth a little bit, and it'll just break off. Okay, so that tab just has come off there, so you see there's the actual tab. It's just a tiny piece of metal holding this together. This is probably like a 15 amp outlet, so which is why it's not a huge piece of metal. And so now we just verify and make sure there's no connection there. And so what that's going to do, and we only want to do it on the hot side, the side that has the black wire going into it, or wires. And so we're not going to break this one. We could break it, but if we did, we need to provide a neutral to each one of these. So what that tab's really doing is letting the power come in, and whatever's on this screw will also be on this screw, which the screws correspond to the top and bottom outlet. So sometimes you want to have it different. You could maybe, in theory, even have 2 different circuits on the same outlet. I have my wire pulled in now, and the box is put on. Here's that outlet under the sink. And I have the this cord here is what's actually going into the dishwasher. It goes into a little hole here with the rest of the pipes for the dishwasher. So the dishwasher does not need to be switched, and it wants to have constant power. So the first thing I'm going to want to do let's just take a look at these wires here. These are the existing wires. I have them all turned off now, but this is the hot wire and the neutral wire and the ground that was originally here powering this outlet. And this is the wire I added in, this yellow one going up. So this black and this copper wire and this ground, or that white wire, corresponds with everything in this, on the left side of this box. So those are the exact same wire, and that's all that it does, is just go from down here to up there. So this white is not going to be a neutral, but since this one is, what I'm going to first do is curl this over, and I'm going to put it over here on the neutral side so that both the upper and lower outlet have neutral power, a return path. So let me do that right now. All right, so I've put that neutral in and screwed it down. Let me focus in on that. So you can see that tab is still intact. So there's that tab right there, passing that neutral through. So now both sides of this outlet are going to have neutral, and we're not going to put anything on this second side here. So we have our ground, and we'll need to tie this ground in as well. We have ground there, and now we have on our hot side, nothing is on here yet. So what we're going to want to do, we really want this bottom one to have constant power, and this wire here is constant power. That black one is already constant power, but we can't put that right on there because then we wouldn't really have a way to send power up to our switch, which is what we want to do. So instead of putting it on there right now, I'm going to use a little jumper like this. I'll put this together with this black wire here. We'll wire them together. And I'm also going to wire nut this black one in there. Now there's a number of ways you can do this, but I'm choosing to send power up on the black wire, which means this wire right here will have power on it, always, constantly. And then when the switch is in the on position, it will send that power back down on this white wire. So this white wire will have power on it. So even though it's a white, it's not going to be acting as a neutral. It's going to be acting as a hot wire. And so for that reason, we're going to put it on this top screw. And then this jumper that we tie into all that wire nut that we're going to do is going to go on the bottom screw, making the bottom outlet constant power, and the top outlet is going to be only power when the switch up on the bar is on. So this is what it looks like when it's completely wired up. We have a white wire here on the hot side, again, because that's going up to the switch, and when the switch is in the on position, this will have power on it. When the switch is off, it will be powered off. And then they both have just a neutral. So there's only one white wire on this side, and that is just providing neutral power to both the top and the bottom because that tab there is in place. You can see that tab right there. So breaking the tab is really important. Something to be aware of, if you're taking one of these apart, so if you're not doing the wiring like I am, you're taking it apart to try and figure out what's going on, chances are very likely that it's not going to be this same setup. You might have two black wires over here, and you might even have multiple wire nuts in the box. There could be a lot more going on. Sometimes people will switch the neutral, which we're not doing in this case, but they'll, instead of sending hot up to the switch, they'll send the neutral up to the switch and always have constant hot on the one side, and then when the switch is turned on, it connects the neutral. So this is just one way that I like to wire these up. Hopefully you didn't just watch this video and start taking apart and messing with your own electricity. Always have a licensed electrician and professional do your electrical work because it can be very dangerous. Hopefully you found this video informative. Appreciate you watching. Catch you on the next one.